So, yeah. And now we are moving to California because now we got a job there.
Where in California?
LA.
Oh.
The big city.
Yeah.
The big city.
It might be easier to fly from LA to here than it is from Buffalo to here.
Yes.
Do an Instagram live too. Why not? Right?
Cool.
Yoga, teacher training, and probation
So this is how you guys did all this during COVID when we used to.
Oh, I know.
I know this.
Yeah, all of our classes, that's what kept me going
It's giving us flash.
during COVID, yeah.
Oh, I know we are. So the handstand with the math. I remember that I was teaching handstand. It was crazy.
Yeah.
But it's so crazy.
Hi out there.
Hello, how are you?
Good. Can you hear me? I guess you can if you responded.
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. Hey, nice to meet you.
Hello. You
Who's
too.
that cutie?
This is my nephew Maximus.
What was it?
Maximus.
Maximus. That's a great name.
Thank you.
Nice to meet you, Maximus. I'll turn you up.
Nice to meet you.
You finally have one photo. Let's go.
There's a very cute baby on the screen.
Oh,
Yeah,
look at that.
Ready for yoga teacher training.
That's right.
Yeah.
All right.
We're very far away from the,
Yeah.
is there any way to make that picture closer of us?
Yes. Let's see here. The tiny gallery view. Do-be-do-be-do. How's that?
Much better.
All right. Door's unlocked. Somebody locked the door, right?
I can check that.
All righty, we will. Hello, Julia.
Is that Julia Prius?
The Julia.
Is that Julia? Is Julia gonna do it?
Hi.
Is she good?
Don't scare her.
I can try to convince her.
I don't. She's like a pigeon. You can't get too close.
I know. I've been trying to convince her.
All right. Hi, everybody. My name is Fraser. I'm the studio director here at Lotus Yoga. And here we have Compton, Lambeth, who will be leading our brand new Living Yoga teacher training, which we are very excited about. So thank all of you here, physically and virtually, for being here. And we thought maybe before we get into it, there'll be lots of opportunity for questions along the way. But maybe in Compton, just start us off with a little bit about yourself and a little bit about the training and what inspired you to share the training as it come to life.
All right. So I'm Ann Compton. You might have known me as AC back just a few months ago. But I'm going back to my full name. And I have been teaching here at Lotus for over 15 years. And really loving the community, loving sharing the practice. And it's gone by really fast. I did the first teacher training program that was done here in Lotus with Sean. It was called Soul School. And I didn't intend to teach. I really just wanted to deepen my practice. I even told Sean, I said, Sean, is it okay if I do the program without teaching? And he's like, of course. So, a few months later, I fell in love with the teaching aspect of it. And have just really loved it ever since. And I love sharing the practice. And I'm so excited to be leading this training because what I love about sharing the practice is I love inspiring people and I love connecting with people. And being able to do that through yoga is a really special privilege, and it's an honor, and it has absolutely taken my own yoga practice to a deeper level. So, you know, if you're on the fence about, well, I don't know if I want to teach, but I definitely want to explore this field of yoga more, then this is absolutely a wonderful way to do that. However, you will be able to share this practice. And when I started putting a program together, my real goal was to make a program that really invited people not only to deepen their own asana practice, their own yoga practice, to be able to really understand the poses, really get into the basics, and also how to share that with other people, but how to really connect with their authentic wisdom through the ancient traditions that we study in yoga. That these traditions have come down for several thousand years to us from sages who walked the path. And the reason that we still do this practice is because they're still relevant. And what I love about sharing it is that you find how these ancient traditions are relevant in your own everyday life. So when I was creating this program, what I really wanted to do was to create a container in which we really feel and get to experience, get to practice the way that yoga is a living practice. It's a living, breathing practice. It's not some ancient text that we recite that's, you know, some ritual that's disconnected with the world that we live in. Instead, it's a real way to connect with our hearts, to connect with our own wisdom, to connect with each other, to connect with our world in deeper and more authentic ways, and in ways in which we can really then feel like we're living more closely aligned with who we really are, what we really believe in. And that, to me, is the essence of yoga. So this whole program is designed to help students and trainees cultivate that within their own lives. So in addition to learning the texts, many of the seminal texts like the Bhagavad Gita, the Yoga Sutras, and some of the Upanishads, the Vedas, we'll also be learning the philosophies, the history, how where this practice comes from, where it's still practiced today, how it's practiced, all the various ways that it shows up, different techniques, as well as all the asanas, you know, the physical practices that includes the breath work, and that includes meditation. Meditation is such a huge part of this. So really getting to expand our understanding and our real knowing of these practices in a way that we can experience every day, and really bring into our lives. So you'll get to do all of that in addition to learning how to then share the aspects of those things that you really resonate with to other people. So, you know, whether you want to share it as like a professional yoga teacher, whether you're like, I think I really want to do this, you will have the credentials to do that. We are certified by the Yoga Alliance, and it'll be a 200-hour that you'll get certified as. And you'll be able to teach in all levels of vinyasa flow class from your heart, from who you really are. But you'll also, if you just want to share it to people like informally, maybe just like to friends or family, colleagues, you'll be able to do that. And most importantly, you'll be able to really deepen your own practice and commit to your own spiritual path in a way that is immediate and long-lasting. And this path really does keep going. You know, one of my first teachers used to say, I'm on the 50-year plan, you know, and we're just getting started. That this practice is so long-lasting, so all-encompassing. And because it's a living practice, it keeps keeping up with us. Wherever we are in our lives, it meets us there. So the way that the program will be instituted into your life is it starts in October. We meet once a month over the weekend, Friday evening, and then a full day Saturday, full day Sunday. That's once a month, except for I think there's 1 month where there's 2 weekends that kind of.
2 months.
Yeah, 2 months. So that it's 10 weekends altogether over 8 months. So we finish in April. And in addition to those weekends, there's 7 Wednesday weekday meetings, and those are over Zoom. So you can dial in from anywhere, and the weekends will be in person. And there will be gathering, you know, as a community, learning this together. You know, that's one of my favorite parts about this kind of work that we do in these training programs, is that you get to meet people from all walks of life, but who have really similar longing, similar longing to be on this path, to deepen their practice, to learn about yoga. And we have this, you know, built-in support system. We create this kind of safe containers where you can really take risks and grow and learn together. And then in addition to all the group work that we do, there's also, you know, the beautiful practices that you'll get to learn more of, like mantra practice, where we'll use our voices and sacred sounds to really deepen our understanding of the practice and of ourselves and of our path. The breath work, as I mentioned, meditation will be a big part of it, but it'll be a full, well-rounded session. Each meeting will have where we do this community work and the breath work and the meditation, but also the asana, where we're moving and really experiencing how it feels in the body. So there's always like multiple ways that we get to really grow in the practice and grow on the path. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. We've got some great teachers who are going to join me from the studio, many of whom you all have probably practiced with. Vera Lester, Rebecca Crenshaw, Andra Aitken, Emily Wilkerson. We also have Sean Johnson coming, who's the founder of Lotus, and he'll be bringing in a special Bhakti weekend. Dina Borman will be bringing in yoga for everybody. And then Michelle Cassandra Johnson will be coming in. And she's the author of Skill in Action, so she'll be offering lots about being a yoga teacher and the reality of inclusivity and making the space one that is welcoming to all people. So we really have designed a program that expands and is holistic and really encompasses all the different ways that yoga can show up in your life, all the different ways that you can share yoga in your life, and in a way that really helps you grow and evolve as the person that you've always at heart felt that you are. So I hope you can join. I'm so excited to be doing this. I'm sure I've left out some things.
Well,
what can you think of?
Yeah, brought up a few questions for me. You mentioned, you know, the ancient roots of the practice. You mentioned the longevity of the practice. You mentioned, how important it is these days. And I guess specifically, here we are in the year 2024. If anyone's been paying attention over the last 5 years, decade, whatever, you know, things feel hard right now. So, what is it about a really dedicated program like this that speaks to kind of, you know, the times we're living in?
Yeah.
And how can it ancient practice really show this?
Yeah. Well, I mean, this practice was designed for people living hard lives. You know, that's why any of us look for answers, because we're like, wow, this life is difficult. Why am I doing this? How can I feel better in my life? How can I really feel like this has value? How can I move in a way that I feel like I'm doing something, I'm contributing something, or I'm making a change, or I'm able to live in a way that feels good. And so that's the whole reason that this practice was designed, to help people, you know, to answer that question, what is the meaning of this existence and how do we do it? And so it's set up for that. And one of the things that I found extreme comfort in is the fact that the practice really is about becoming so present in this moment and in what you can actually control, what you can't, awakening to your true potential, awakening to that which is within you, which is peace and love and strength and creativity, all of the aspects of our divinity, our innate divinity as beings who are, you know, not just a body, not just thoughts, but something more, a soul. Being able to really connect to that is important because, you know, when things are hard, when we feel like things might be hopeless or we feel powerless against what's going on in the world, poverty, injustice, it's so important to be able to reconnect to that which within us that can then help us handle that, help us do something about that if that's our path, or to simply find peace and strength and fortitude no matter what's going on around us, so that we don't give up, you know, so that we really can serve where it is we're meant to serve, and live this life that is precious. You know, that's the other thing, is that it can feel so heavy being alive these days. You know, so much going on, and the real essence of yoga is a lightheartedness, a lightness, and when we return to that and we feel into that joy, and we can savor our lives and really enjoy our lives, not because we're like burying our head in the sand about like, oh, nothing's going on, you know, I'm not paying attention to all the problems, but really instead being connected to that love within us, so that we can then, you know, face whatever problems come up from that kind of that strength and that joyfulness, and then do what it is that is possible to do in our life, to act really in the way that shows up for us. And if we're connected to that on a moment-to-moment level, our own power, our own centeredness, our own groundedness, then we see ways in which, oh, I can actually help this person right here, right now, rather than, oh my God, there's so many problems, being overwhelmed. You know, so yoga really allows us to come right back to earth, down to earth, and just really wake up in such a palpable way that we start to see that we are effective in our lives, you know, with what shows up for us. And that really shifts, that really changes the way that we feel, even about the stuff that's going on that we can't control, that we don't have any control. So yoga has been essential for me in finding that ability to keep moving forward, to not give up, and to connect, and to notice that there's so much love out there, so much beauty and joy, and to not miss that, to not be immune to that, because there's also pain. So yoga really awakens us to every part of this.
Yeah, and I know for me, both as a physical asana practitioner as well as a teacher, you know, there's so many lessons that I've learned inside of my own body first, about learning where things are at,
Yeah.
and what I can control and what I cannot control. You know, maybe I can't reach all the way to the floor and get my hands to the floor. That's just where I'm at. But there's all these other sort of smaller mechanisms within the body that I can do to kind of shift the pose and shift the feel, make it all feel a little bit more different, a little bit more engaged.
Absolutely, yeah.
It also reminds me of the old adage, just be the change that you want to see.
Yeah, and it starts with yourself,
Mhm.
you know, in the way that you treat yourself. And for me, that's like essential yoga, is that it is about learning to love yourself more fully, because you can only love people around you if you can love yourself. And that is a moment-to-moment practice, and it is a continual practice. You know, you never get to the point where like, okay, check that off,
Yeah.
and we keep doing it, which is also good news, because it means that we've never like, oh, well, it's too late. You know, I'm too old to start doing this now. You know, there's too much has happened. No, it's never too late. And that's the great thing about yoga, because it's always here for us, no matter where we are.
So, yeah, it's beautiful. Well, I thought maybe next, this would be a little more difficult with folks that are out there virtually, but maybe just, go around the room and kind of introduce yourself and just what has inspired you to think about a program like this. Doesn't have to be too long, just a sentence or two. Anybody want to start?
And for those on Zoom, you can drop it in the chat.
Yeah.
That might be easiest.
Absolutely. Deborah?
You want me to start?
Come
Okay.
on.
Well,
Maybe a lifetime.
really, yeah. Well, actually, I started doing yoga about 7 years ago. And just, just going to the studio, I was living in Blacksburg part-time and here in New Orleans part-time at the time. And so I had a studio there, a studio here, depending on which one. But, I just got into doing it and kind of by imitating what was going on in the room. And so part of it is I want to learn more deeply about the practice, not only in terms of the physical movements, but I've learned a lot so far just doing that about my body, like you were saying about what my body can and can't do, and how just moving just the slightest little bit changes the whole way you can do a pose and how it makes it so different what you can do and that kind of thing. I just want to know more about that. And also the philosophy behind it, that kind of thing. Since I retired, this is the first time I can devote this time, because before that I was I'd been interested for a while, but I could never devote the 8 months, the classes and stuff. It just wasn't going to be possible. So as soon as I retired, I said, okay, I gotta do it. That's it. And I love this place. I love all the teachers here. It's really a great community. So I'm like, okay, this is the time to do it, for people to do it with.
We need a 23 retirement age. We all work real hard from like 14 to 23, and I'm just
Yes, that would be nice. That would be nice. And I think about it,
I don't
much
know, I
less.
wasn't quite ready. It took me a minute.
I agree, you wouldn't have wanted to give me a whole lot of time. It wasn't a good thing.
All right. Anybody else?
I'm Shanice. My main focus was to just learn the spiritual side on it and to deepen my spiritual piece on it too. And that's why I chose this place. I am from Homa, and there's now yoga places like this now. So I'm excited to learn about all that. And then with the struggles that I go through, I want to teach people and how they can get through it. So that's why I'm doing it, to strengthen my confidence for sure, and then also like my spiritual aspect, so I can spread that to people that's just like me.
It's beautiful.
And we should point out that this really is, that's a great point that you make about strengthening your own confidence to share this, because in a program like this, we do so much practice teaching. So by the time that you finish the program, you feel ready, you feel confident to be able to go out there and not just, to lead people through the step-by-step of how to do a pose and, several poses and then the whole class, but you also feel confident in your own ability to share what's important to you and that spirituality that you've come to know and to really speak in an authentic way, in a creative, authentic way. I'm so excited that you're going to do.
I'm excited.
So I'm Tiffany. I started doing yoga at home during the pandemic, on and off. And since the pandemic was over-ish, I've been busy and really haven't fallen back into it. But this year has been really, really, really. And so over the last couple of months, I started coming here, and in the last couple of months, I've felt so much better. Like a weight was lifted, and in times of stress, I always come back to my breath, which is something that I couldn't have done before. So I'm here. And I think the stresses of life ahead is still really great. So really, while I admire everyone for doing it for everybody else, for me, this is really how I can make me better at doing what I do, so I can keep doing what I do.
And I think that's really where we all have to really get to. is because you can't really help anybody else if, you know, you're not really putting yourself first and helping yourself. And this really is, you know, as I was saying before, it starts with you. You know, it starts with how you treat yourself, how you feel about yourself, how you know, meet what arises in your life. And then the more that you learn how to do that in a way that is full of love and acceptance and compassion, then the more that you can do that in anything you do. You know, one of my teachers no longer teaches yoga asana, no longer teaches classes, but she's still my teacher because the way she moves in the world, she's still teaching yoga. She's still connecting in a way that is serving love, that is offering people a deep connection, you know, and wisdom. And so I feel like, you know, this training program, even if you're not teaching like yoga, asana, you will go out and teach and share this love that you are cultivating within you, this ability to really stay aligned with wisdom and truth, and share that in every way that you move in the world. I mean, everyone you know will probably be like, wow,
Yeah.
what have you been doing? You know, it really does make a difference in your life. In so many people, you know, are always surprised at like the shifts that can happen. And I always notice too that like when you do a training program like this, it's almost like you push the pedal to the metal a little bit on your spiritual life. It's like you start to really amp up what happens, what you start to understand about yourself, the way that you feel and your own connection to that spirituality, and it's powerful. It really is. So, you know, if you're ready for that.
Yeah. This is a 100% true story, but when I did soul school here at the studio in 2018, 2019, this one time, the day was done, and then went to go pick up dinner that had been ordered, and the order was taking a while. And I was just sitting there, I was just like blissed out, and I was just happy. I was just like, whatever, you know, the food could take another 2 hours, you know. I wasn't saying anything to anybody, I was just there by myself, in myself. And finally the food comes, and the guy comes, and he says to me, he's like, I just want to say, your energy is just so good. Okay. All right, you know, like not even trying, just, you know, and it's so helpful, you know. So I think especially in a scenario where, you know, I don't know what type of medicine you're going into, but in a scenario where, like, you know, you approach a patient, you're just like, oh, like, this feels good, this feels like a good interaction, you know. That's a very powerful tool, it's a very powerful story for ambrosia, or soma. Yeah, very powerful.
Yeah, I mean, that's really everything.
Mm-hmm.
I just spent a month in India, and my teacher there that's what he said. He said, presence, your presence is what you offer the world. And when you start to really tap into your power, you start to really refine the way that you hold yourself, you know, how you connect, what you're aligning with, that you're really clear, that like shows, and your presence affects everything around you and everyone around you. And like you're saying, like, you don't even have to open your mouth or even do anything, and your presence has a beneficial effect. And just imagine, like, all of us doing this, like, this really does, you know, this really can change the world. Can we see the chat from here? If anyone.
I'm getting real close. Let's hope I trimmed my beard hairs today. Let's see. More? Chat?
Close.
Julia said, what was the question? I didn't understand what you said. Okay. Julia, if you hear me, can you come on camera? Hey.
Hi.
So we're just kind of going around and discussing just very briefly what it is that each of the participants here, what inspired them to think about Living Yoga Teacher Training Program.
Oh, okay. Do you want me to answer that?
Yes, if or any other question you would like, but that one's a good one.
Okay.
Yes, ready.
I am inspired because I really very flippantly, I want to know what's going on. Like
Yeah.
I've been working at Wild Lotus forever and I feel like I only understand like half of what everyone's talking about. So I want to know everything of what everyone's talking about. So that's really it. Like, cause it all sounds very cool and interesting. And like, I want to be in on it.
Well, cool. I mean, yeah, and, I love that because certainly, yeah, there's people in my life I know that like don't really care about this stuff, you know, and it's obviously what I do at this point, you know, and it's hard when, yeah, like we want to share, like, oh my God, you'll do this and you'll do that, this, you get it, yeah. You'll do this and you'll do that, you know. So when there are folks who are just wanting to know, then okay, here it is.
Oh, I love nerding out
Oh,
on this
yeah.
stuff. That's one of my favorite things to do, is like hang out with a bunch of people who are interested in yoga and just like nerd out on like the anatomy, the philosophy, the breath, the mantra, the Sanskrit, the mythology. I mean, there's so many different aspects and there's so much to learn. Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the great thing, is because we're all in. The other amazing thing about doing a program like this is that you end up learning so much from each other. Because everybody is doing this internal work. Everyone is doing this contemplative work where they're really going in and they're really like experiencing growth and evolution. And to then, share that wisdom that's coming out through this work, it's powerful and we all get the benefit of that. So, I mean, I always feel like anytime I do any kind of training program, I learn as much as the students learn, because there is so much wisdom and insight and inspiration, in the people that do this practice that is, it's so inspiring, and uplifting too.
Yeah, I mean, I would assume it's going to be similar or the same in this program, but just in my experience from my teacher training program, maybe we should have put this in, the application, things you should be comfortable with, but ugly crying in group settings should probably be ready for that, because, people are just going through this process of growth and opening, letting go, and it's really so much of that letting go that, man, just some very real, raw, deep passages of emotion happen. And it's a beautiful thing to be part of.
It is, and there's also a ton of laughter.
So much laughter. Yeah.
I mean, we had such a great time.
Yeah.
And you will make friends that you will have forever.
Mhm.
I mean, when you make these bonds with people who are going through this kind of a program together, it's something that you share that you don't have with anybody else who hasn't done it. So that's really special and unique. Yeah.
Can I share something?
Yes, please, Holly.
I'm from Chile. And when I came here, my husband was doing his PhD and I was very alone. And I used to practice in my country. But when I came here, and I think this is very important to say, I found not only a place to practice yoga, I found a community and a family. And I have been practicing for a long time in different places, and I think I really believe that this is the only place where I can say there is a community, a real community. It's a real family, And I think this is very important when you are doing a teacher training, because you will be vulnerable and you need to feel that you are in a safe place, because you will be very open. I'm not sure if this is the right English, but you will be exposed, because you will open not only the hips, you will open your heart, with a lot of people that you don't know, but that people will be your family. later. And after a long time, after I have been practicing here for 9 years, and that people is my family now. And even when I'm living in Buffalo, I come back here all the time. And these people is my family. And for me, it's very important to say that, because even my students, because I have the honor and the privilege to teach here right now, even my students are part of my family. They are family too. So if I can say something, like, I don't want to say like, you have to do this here, no, but if you have the opportunity to do this teacher training here, really your life is gonna change. Because the love that you can experience here is in a different level. You will find really family and love and real love and people who cares about you. Really. And even with me that I wasn't from here, I don't have words to explain that.
I love that idea of safety, and I would love to come back to that. You just put a pin on that, but I would love also if Letitia, can you hear me?
Yes,
All right, you want to share what has drawn you here?
definitely. Hi, everyone. Letitia Gonzalez. I came to Wild Lotus 11 years ago for the first time when I was pregnant with my first child for prenatal yoga, and have been doing yoga off and on since then. And then the last year or so, 18 months or so, I found myself going through a really difficult separation and divorce. And these feelings of not being good enough and negative self-talk, I needed something that I could reconnect to myself. And that's what yoga provided for me the last year or so. Reminding myself who I am, how powerful I am, and how abundant the universe is for me. And so, especially being, a woman of color and having those experiences, I'm really excited to connect this more to my community here in New Orleans as well.
That's beautiful. Thank you, Letitia.
Thank you.
Very funny, but in my class of teacher trainings, I think myself included in this number, I think 3 or maybe even 4 of us quit our jobs during the course of this teacher training. Because yeah, the yoga, as Letitia was just saying, brought us back into this place of like non-fear and abundance and trust and faith. And yeah, it's just such a powerful testament of what Letitia was just saying about how it can open you and how that openness can guide you to new places in your life that maybe you weren't expecting before.
Absolutely.
I'm still unemployed, but well, yeah, so before we get into questions, I did just want to touch on that word of safety, which I think is a really important, great word. And for you as the lead trainer in this program, like what does safety mean and look like to you in this program?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's something that's really important, that everyone feel that not only do they feel comfortable learning and taking some risks and exploring like their own practice, their own body, doing some practices that may be new for them, but also feeling comfortable and safe to share, and what I really prize in any class that I teach or any workshop or course, what's really important to me is creating a container, like a sacred space, that physical sacred space, so that when you step into the classroom, when you step through the door of the studio, that you are held in respect and in loving kindness, and that we are all, that all of our voices are equally important, that there's no hierarchy here, and that once we gather, what happens in the space is held in that sacred recognition that we're all willing to listen to each other. There's a respect and a deep, sense of honor that we hold for each other and for each other's process. And so that's really important to me, is that everybody feel that's created and sustained, throughout the whole program. And I feel really great to have the structure of the studio, behind us. We have so many amazing people that are working behind the scenes to make sure that, just like the physical space is beautiful and feels good and clean, and we have so many people working to make sure that, the content is delivered in a way that everybody feels understood and seen and heard and recognized, and that we really, value each other's voices, and that we listen, and that there is that sense that, that we're all in this together, and that space that we cultivate is safe for all of us to experience this growth and evolution.
And I guess finally, again, speaking of kind of safety and expectations, like what level of experience do you think somebody needs to be starting on this program?
Yeah, I think that a basic understanding of the practice of yoga, knowing like the basic poses to a degree, but at the same time, like we're all coming to the practice at different points in our lives, at different ages, at different experience levels. Some people will be newer as far as having done the actual poses than other people, but we're all bringing our own wisdom and our own wealth of experiences, being, living in this life as human beings. So really, the most important thing is just a curiosity. Coming with that sense of I want to learn, I want to experience. And one of the things that I really have always loved about the studio, about Wild Lotus and our teachers here, and the precedent that Sean set, is that this is not a dogmatic place. We don't have like, this is the way it is, this is what yoga is. That as a bhakti studio, and there is a sense of reverence and devotion to love, and a recognition of the traditions and the culture of India that this practice comes from. And at the same time, a real sense of openness and playfulness and expansion and growth, and that whole idea that this is a living practice, and the way that it shows up for each of us may be different, and a real respect that all of us have a different, we'll see it in a different light, we'll experience it in a slightly different way, and to me, that's the most exciting thing about a program like this too, is that we're really cultivating each other's, or helping each other grow individually, so that when we do share it, it comes through as it can only come through each and every one of us in this unique way. When you finish the program, you don't sound like, everybody doesn't sound exactly the same, and that I think is due to the fact that we don't, follow some kind of dogmatic, like yoga, this is the way it has to be done, but more of, this is a long-standing tradition that actually has a lot of variations in the history of it, and continues to unfold and evolve even as a practice in India and here. And so how we each, choose to share that will depend on how it's showing up for us. And so your experience level with the practice, when you come in, it only needs to be as much as you feel like, okay, this is something I'm really curious about. I want to go deeper into this, and then, you put the pedal to the metal and take it from there.
You just need to show up with a mustard seed. Put it down and see where it goes.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I think what you're just saying is why Wild Lotus as a studio is so beloved in the community, because being that almost all of our teachers have gone through this training program, we have such a wide variety of teachers that can really represent yogis on every path, every level, you know, it just makes it a very accessible place for people. So,
Yeah.
love that. Cool. Should we get to questions?
Yeah. Questions coming up for you all now, or anything that you want more detail on?
What does a weekend look like?
Great question. I'm glad you asked that. So we'll start on a Friday night. I think it's 6. But sometime in the evening, and we have a practice that sort of transitions you from your day and from the week and from the rest of the, whatever you've been doing, and into this sacred space, into a particular theme that we'll be exploring through the weekend, that will always include some part of what is yoga, where it comes from, the philosophies that run through it that we apply to the rest of our lives. There will always be certain poses that we're going to focus on. We'll break down the poses. There will be a mantra that will usually be associated with the deity and some mythology that we'll explore that weekend. So there will be sort of an overarching theme and sort of flavor to each weekend that everything will kind of echo. I know you want to do it again?
Yes. So many memories. Oh my God.
And so Friday night will really be kind of our way to kind of like step into this like sacred experience. And then Saturday, we pick back up on that theme. And Saturday will usually comprise of a module. We have 4 modules taught by various teachers that I mentioned before. And if we have a module that weekend, then that visiting teacher will come, that guest teacher will be there the whole weekend, but they'll spend most of Saturday diving into that module, whether it's yoga anatomy, yoga for everybody, hands-on assists, learning how to adjust and assist people, and bhakti, Sham will come and do some bhakti module. So various ways that we can sort of see the practice and experience the practice. And that will be most of Saturday. And then Sunday, we will do some more practices that support the theme, the philosophies that we're learning, and a lot of practices, like a lot of teaching practices, so practice teaching. Learning how to take what we're learning and start to share it. First we'll start small and we'll expand every weekend. So you will start teaching right away. So that by the end of the program, you're gonna feel so comfortable being able to share with others that you'll be able to go out and share this practice however you want to. So that's the weekend. And then the weekday sessions, there's 7 of those. Those will be by Zoom in the evening, and I'm not remembering exactly what time, but just for like 2 hours. And those we're going to focus more on the yamas and the niyamas from the Yoga Sutras. And these are guidelines and observances that there's 10 of them that are passed down as ways to live your life aligned with wisdom and truth. So like you've heard of ahimsa, non-harming or non-violence, really diving into what that means, what they meant, the yogis meant, why they came up with this, and how we can apply that to our lives. So our Wednesday Zoom sessions are going to be a real wonderful opportunity to take these specific principles, guidelines for living, and look at the ways that we can apply them to our life. We'll talk about that, and we'll have exercises to do that in the real world, but really like taking this information that could just be something on a page, or that you've heard of, and really living it, really making it part of your life on a day-to-day basis. Yeah.
And speaking to what Javi was saying as far as like community building, and also what you were saying about community building, there'll be I think every Sunday, group lunch where we all sit down together and share. That's where the ugly crying generally happens. It's beautiful.
Not always crying, guys. I didn't experience a whole lot.
It's just crying.
That's not always.
No. But yeah, that's where where,
It's where the sharing happens.
It's
We
where the
laugh
sharing
together, we share, you know, and in a more informal way. Like we just hang out and have, you know, a meal together and like really just get to know each other and also ask questions. And one of the great things about having these visiting or these guest teachers doing the modules is that you get to know some of the, you know, your favorite teachers from the studio and really get to know like not only what they have to offer as far as the information and the technique and the practices for teaching and sharing this, but you'll also get to know like them and their own practice and their own ways of, you know, how do you prepare to teach that, or what's a day like for you when you're about to teach a class, and you know, you get to ask like, what's it like being a yoga teacher, you know, and really get to know that the teachers in a more informal way. So it's a really amazing opportunity for, you know, sharing, you know, we come to this space to really share knowledge and wisdom and heart together.
Professor, I have a question.
Yeah.
All teachers are invited, or only the teachers who are doing the?
So we'll have some opportunities for various teachers to come in. Yeah, so if you want to come in, we'll make that happen.
Special guest.
Sunday, like the lunch, is it like the Sundays or the weekends of the classes, or is it like every Sunday?
No, it's just one, there's 10 sessions, and most of those sessions happen just once in a month. So that weekend will be where the lunch happens, yeah. And then the other weekends are for you.
Can we just go somewhere here, or?
Oh, you mean like
Or the lunch.
where we're gonna have lunch? To be determined. We'll,
Yeah.
you know, it may change, yeah.
Yeah.
We'll figure all those logistics out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, when we did it, you know, we would all just, do you ever go to the downtown studio, or we used to have another studio? Yeah, we would just all sit in a circle in the studio and just eat our lunch and share. I mean, yeah, it was really, really beautiful experience, you know, and especially thinking back now, you know, I finished my training in 2019, and then
COVID.
2020 happened. It was such a beautifully unique experience to share, you know, just sitting in community with people, and just the simple act of sharing eating food is just the most human thing we could possibly do, you know. And that really is where so much of that connection that, you know, Javi spoke to, I can attest to. You know, I have some very, very, very dear friends that I have from my teacher training, and I did not sign up for teacher training for friends. You know, it wasn't like, I need friends, let me do teacher training. But, you know, it's, you know, just one of the things that is just such a gift from it.
What else? Letitia, Julia, any questions?
No, I'm good, thank you.
Julia, you will do it.
Who is that? I can't hear.
It's Deb, it's Deb.
Hi. I mean, I should say I can't see. I can hear you, obviously. I
That's
can't
like
see who it is.
Yeah, it's Deb.
So Tiffany asked about homework and like other work that you're gonna do outside of the weekends. Yeah, so one of the main pieces of homework that you'll be given is to institute a daily practice for yourself that will include meditation. So, and we'll talk about that at length and very specific ways, you know, during the training, but to really develop a practice that you, that is non-negotiable for yourself, that you show up for every day for yourself. Because the truth is that you can't really teach what you're not practicing, right? And you can't really share about your spiritual path if you're not really, you know, if you're somewhere out there and your path is here, right? So this, and it's so great because so often, you know, we say, oh, I'll do it later, I don't have time to make. But this is the time where you get to set aside, okay, for these 8 months, I'm committing. Every day, I'm gonna show up for myself. And the practice that we will do is not long, you know, so it's absolutely doable. But it's something that will change everything and will become the foundation for everything else, all of the other work that you do. So that's the big piece. And then we'll be reading some texts that we'll all share our insights from, but those will be, you'll read them on your own time. There will be some work that you'll do with your groups and with your partners, outside of the weekends, just, doing some practice teaching. And then there may be some other smaller things that you'll write for our Wednesday sessions, our Zoom sessions, where, to how you're implementing these principles, these guidelines into your life. So there'll be some homework in regards to that. So yeah, I mean, it is a commitment. Yeah. So it's not just I'll just show up for the weekend and the rest of the time I'm not there. It's this is 8 months of your life that you are really going to dive in, and I think, it's, if you've heard that saying, if you don't, if you have time to meditate for half an hour. If you don't have time to meditate for an hour. Because the practices that you do in your life like this actually expand to make the rest of your day somehow work more efficiently. You seem to have more time, stuff just opens up because you're more present. So I've found that when people really do commit, they make time for it, and it really changes everything for them. So yeah.
I've always loved when the yoga is referred to as a spiritual technology. Because technology, obviously we're surrounded by it all the time, and it makes our lives so much easier. And yet we also need to learn how to use and utilize the technology so that it makes our lives easier. Like a car makes our lives so much easier, sometimes more difficult, but for the most part, it makes our lives easier, but we also have to really understand how to use that. We need to put in time and dedication to understand how to use and utilize that technology.
Yeah, and it's not the kind of thing that you just get it once and you check it. It is a practice. So even the Dalai Lama has to practice.
Over lifetimes.
Yes.
So he's not getting it in because he knows.
Yeah.
That's the whole point. So. Letitia, you have any questions?
No, I'm good to go.
Right.
Awesome. Great.
Anything else?
No, that's okay.
What's that?
Perfect.
Yeah, good,
If you suck at meditation, then this is for you.
Me too. I like the idea of disconnecting from the world, because my head is just always too much stuff going on in it.
Yeah.
So if this can help me to
Yes,
turn that off for a little while,
absolutely.
that'll be
Yep.
great.
Yep.
We'll suck at meditation in community.
Yes. No one's good at meditation.
Yeah.
No one is. No one is. That's why there's all kinds of techniques to help us sit still and to help us be present.
Yeah.
There's a billion techniques, and you learn a lot.
If you can get me to sit still, that'd be great.
Working on that one myself.
Challenge accepted.
You're good.
All right, y'all. Well, that's about an hour,
Yeah.
which is, what we said. So, does anyone have any other questions at all? If you do have any other questions that come up, you can always email teachertraining@wildlotusyoga.com. It's teachertraining@wildlotusyoga.com, and either myself or Compton will get back to you shortly. All right.
Thanks so much for coming.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks
Thank you.
for showing up. Great to see you, Letitia. Great to see you.
Good. Thank you. So good to see you guys too.
All right.
Thanks, y'all.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Bye.
All right, thanks for being here, you guys. If you haven't applied or registered, the early bird date is now July 10th. So if you apply, get accepted and register before then, $500 off the total amount, bringing it down from $300 $34.99 down to $29.99. Okay.
So the sessions are mandatory because the certification that you get is 200 hours and those are all contact hours.